Hello, I'm Leia Schoen of AHS-TV, and in this segment of Best of the Nest, we will take a look at our music and how it is viewed from the student's perspective. But first, I got the chance to sit down with AHS choir teacher, Mr. Meyer, to ask him what he thinks makes music such an important part of our lives. Thank you for talking to me today, Mr. Meyer.
Okay.
First off, how long have you been teaching music?
Probably 21, 22 years.
All right. What's the importance of music in the education system?
I think music is, for some kids, it's maybe a career path. It's something they love to do. But for a lot of kids, it's a little break in their day where they can do something that's still academic, but it's not book work, it's not lectures. It's just a different kind of release in their day.
Do you have someone that influenced you to become a chorus teacher?
Yeah, I'd say my high school choral director, Kathy Valasek. I liked what she did. She was fun and bubbly, and I thought, I can play piano, I can sing, maybe I can do what she does. And then, so she sort of inspired me to do that.
Do you prefer teaching choir or guitar?
Well, I always tell kids now, my main job's a choir director, that's most of my day, but I tell kids I like guitar more. I think because in guitar you go from like doing nothing, the kids can't even hold a guitar, to actually by the end of the class they can accompany themselves singing a song. That's just kind of cool to see them go from nothing to something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I still like chorus. That's still my main thing.
Do you think we could add more to our music department?
I think we could. Right now we've got the staff to teach what we have, and we don't have a whole lot of room to spread out a little bit. I think it'd be great to have some sort of modern kind of rock band sort of thing, but I don't know how you would work that into the school day exactly, because it'd be a small group of kids.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of kids want a second guitar class because they took the first one and really liked it. I always say I'm not sure that I have the skill to teach it, though.
I think you should add another guitar class.
You think?
Yeah.
Did you take the first one?
I did. It was
Okay.
pretty rough, but I took it and I had fun.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Maybe you wouldn't be accepted into the second one.
Oh, okay, bud. Do you feel that the school system allows students to express themselves creatively, and how does your music program fit into that?
I think it does. I think there are lots of creative outlets here. The advantage of a big school is there's a lot of things going on for kids to do. Some kids are art kids, and they've got a plethora of art classes to do. Some kids love this TV studio thing, and this is something that was pretty small in our former schools, so there's a lot of opportunity there. In our school, now we branched out from just having one choir at Ford City and Katanning. Now we've got a couple other things going on. The band world has jazz band and taiko. There's just a lot of stuff going on here, so we're meeting a lot of kids' needs that didn't have opportunities to do something they were good at before.
Do you think there is a certain type of student that is drawn towards the music department of our school?
Yeah, most schools I'd say yes. Like when we go to festivals, I always say my kids think the other kids are weird. When we go to like a county chorus, a district chorus especially, or a region chorus, because they seem to all have the same type of kid in their groups. I feel like we're a little bit different here. We've got a very diverse group of kids, especially in chorus, that I don't think would have anything to do with each other except that they share the same love of singing. It's sort of strange here. So a type of kid in chorus, I don't think there is a type of kid. I think we branch out. We get all different types of kids here.
Say junior high chorus is very a certain type of kid, and then you get to senior high, and it's like there's just so many. It's crazy to think.
Junior high, I can't even understand. Those kids are maniacs. I'm just glad I don't have to teach them.
Do you think that taking part in one of our music programs can improve a student's self-confidence?
Yes. Lots of kids come in 9th grade and they're a little weird and a little awkward and they don't know where they fit in. And part of that's just the high school journey. You got to find, where am I going to fit in? Am I going to fit in a TV studio? Am I an art kid? Am I a music kid? And I get a lot of awkward kids in 9th grade that suddenly blossom. By the time they're seniors, they will actually sing out, they'll actually participate, they actually speak. I often think some kids maybe don't talk to anyone all day. And my program's different. Since they're with me for 4 years, we develop kind of a relationship. You've been around here for a while.
Sadly.
And some kids don't have connections that they build in a year, but over 4 years, I know I have senior girls that I'm not sure they talk to another teacher all day, but they talk to me because we've got a long-standing relationship.
So you also have a lot of interactions in the class. Like, you kind of have to talk to the students.
Yep, I do.
Do you think that music brings students together?
Yes, like I said before, we've got very different kids. We've got really smart kids, not so smart kids. We've got sports jocks. We've got kids that would never be caught. They'd probably slap a basketball with the palm of their hand. But it brings these strange groups of kids together over, like, they just happen to like to sing, and that's the one thing that brings them together.
Why do you think it's important for kids to have a lifetime appreciation for music?
Well, because look around, every kid's got earbuds in. Every kid's listening to music, whether they're in our program or not. I want them to appreciate different styles of music. I want them to branch out a little bit. I know they're going to listen to music for the rest of their lives. I just want to give them a little bit more depth of what music is, what it means, and maybe some styles that they wouldn't necessarily listen to.
How would you describe a world without music?
Well, I went with my youngest daughter to Plato's Closet recently, and we were the first ones in the store. I hate Plato's Closet, just full disclosure. I just walk around like this awkward dad while my daughter goes and shops. But we're in Plato's Closet, but we were like the first ones in there, and there wasn't anyone in there, and there wasn't any music on the speakers, and it was super awkward. Like, I don't think we realize how much music plays a role in our life. Like, it's happening all the time. Kids walking down the hall, I don't know what they do without earbuds in. I felt awkward in that Plato's Closet, and then when the music came on, I felt just a little bit of relief. I don't think everyone realizes how much music is a part of their life, just even background stuff. Most people don't think of a football game. They don't think of the band so much there. Halftime they go out and they get snacks, but they don't realize how much the band peps them up the entire game too, with fight songs and stuff like that. So I can't really imagine a world without music.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer, for joining us today and offering your insight. Our own Antonio Magagnoti took to the halls of AHS to get the students' perspective. Let's take a closer look.
And we took it to the halls to see what people were listening to. Whoa! What song are you listening to?
Baby Doll by Dominic Feek.
Oh, nice. Now, what is your current favorite song?
That's a good question. I mean, I listen to a lot of things. Current favorite song? I've low-key been into the old music again, so I've been popping off with the Billionaire by Bruno Mars.
Hey Lover by LL Cool J and Boyz II Men.
That's a real good one. Now, what's your favorite song?
Probably Let It All Work Out by Lil Wayne.
Ascensionism by Sleep Token.
Very nice. Now, what is your favorite song?
In general, Atlantic by Sleep Token.
Dinosaur by Hank Williams Jr.
Very nice. Now, what is your favorite song?
Probably Dinosaur by Hank Williams Jr.
Teach Me How to Dougie by Cali Swag District.
Nice. How does that music change your life for the better?
It changes my life for the better in a way that, like, I can just listen to this song and it just speaks to me.
That's great. That's nice.
It's a hip-hop song, I just love it.
Just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Meet and Greet by Ice Nine Kills.
Sweet. How does that better your life? Like, how does that make you happy or sad?
It motivates me throughout the day.
Motivates you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it gets you pumped up and stuff?
Yes, it does.
That's great. Have a great day, Noah Laird.
Leave You Alone by Jeezy.
How does that music change your life?
I don't know. Makes me feel good, I guess.
Does it inspire you?
Yeah, it does.
That's great.
Dark Thoughts by Lil Tecca.
How does that impact your life?
Well, it just makes me feel pretty hype.
Yeah, it gets you motivated for the day?
Yeah, it makes me feel good.
Gimme Sato by Panic at the Disco.
Does that get your life going, or is it like a sad, or is it motivational?
Sure, it's motivational.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Bad Bitty by JP.
Ooh, that's a good one. How does that music inspire your life?
Just makes me happy, puts me in a good mood all the time.
That's great.
Uptown Funk Me Up.
How does that make you feel?
I'm freaking jiggy today, man.
Does it get you freaking
I'm
going?
feeling freaking...
Yeah! Thank you very much.
You have it, folks. Straight from the Hawks Peak. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Antonio. For those of you just joining us, I'm Leia Schoen of AHS-TV, and now I'm joined by Miss Plant and Mr. Swanson to talk about music. Is music a big part of your lives?
Yes, very much so. I listen to it pretty much all day, every day, except for at work, unlike children. But yeah, all the time.
Unlike Miss Plant, I do listen to it at work pretty much all day, every day. I have it playing in the classroom. I'll play this on my phone. And, you know, being a young hipster, I have Pandora playing in my office.
When did songs really start to impact you?
I would say like middle school when I could, like maybe late elementary, early middle school when I could really like understand the songs and like I could remember who sung what and like connect with people based on that. Like all my friends started listening to the same music and things like that, I would say.
Yeah, probably around the same time frame. I grew up with 3 channels. Didn't have the MTVs back in the day, being a country kid, but I used to stay up late and watch Friday night videos, probably starting around the time I was 11 or 12. And my cousins were all older than me, and they were 80s metal heads, so around that time I started to actually pay attention and develop my own taste, yeah.
Is there a certain song or artist that you go to pump up to, or maybe when you're feeling a certain way?
Most of my, other than like sports pump up, most of my pump up is when the warm weather starts coming around and I'm like, yes, like it's nice out, roll the windows down. I've been into Chris Stapleton recently, and then anything by like Mac Miller usually.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if there's a specific song, but there's a genre of music, usually like metal or hard rock or punk rock is what I usually go to. I'm a big fan of Metallica, Blink-182, Sum 41, bands like that, yeah.
Are there certain songs that you associate with specific parts of your life?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go off what Mr. Swanson said. I think in like late or early high school, I was into some of those bands like Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, things like that. And then me and my best friends in middle school loved Nicki Minaj for some reason, right when she started off. And then it's pretty much just went from there, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Open Arms by Journey puts me back at a junior high dance where I was sitting on the bleachers, looking at Haley Richards dancing with somebody else, being sad and depressed, little bald wallflower, except I wasn't bald at the time, Leia, believe it or not. Yeah, I think so, definitely. I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so Nirvana, Alice in Chains, that kind of grunge movement, Metallica's Black Album. When I was in college, that was kind of like new metal was becoming the big thing. Sweet Caroline was always played at my favorite establishment when I was at IUP. They closed the night out with it, so that always takes me back to a certain place. Yeah, I mean, I think probably every chapter of my life has at least a couple songs.
Is there a song that makes you think about your significant other?
Yeah, I would say probably Porch Swing Angel is like our song.
I was going to make a joke, but I probably shouldn't. My wife and I song is Yellow by Coldplay.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so anytime I hear that song, yeah.
Oh my God. If you could pick one song to sum up your time in high school, what would it be and why? What about college?
High school was Jordan Belfort for some reason. That was like I don't know if it was my junior or senior year, but like it was played no matter where you were with anybody at any event throughout high school for some reason. That was just it. I don't know really how that came about, but college was Times Like This because literally everybody anywhere knew every single lyric to that song, no matter what. That's just, yeah.
It's kind of hard to pick a specific song. Like in junior high, probably like How Do You Talk to Me, Angel was huge. The Throwing Copper by Live, Lightning Crashes was really big. Smashing Pumpkins were really big. But my senior year in particular, I always go back to It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion. Not necessarily because I love the song, but because getting ready for homecoming, the girls played it on repeat every day, all day. And it's just like ingrained in my brain. In college, I would probably go to Third Eye Blind, in particular, How's It Going to Be, God of Wine, yeah.
They know all of those songs.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm sure they know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Has your taste in music evolved over time?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from rap to 90s to, I didn't like country at all when I was growing up, and then like senior year of high school, I started like it, and now I love it so much. I still like all of the other genres, but it's definitely like switched ratio-wise over the years.
What's the question?
Oh my. Has your taste in music evolved over time?
Yeah, I think so. I've never been a big country fan. Like, I'm not necessarily genre specific. If it's good, it's good. It's how I kind of think about it. My loose two favorite genres are probably country and rap, but that's not to say that I don't like some country and rap. Huge Johnny Cash fan. I've always been. My first concert was Vanilla Ice, so I can definitely say I was into the rap. Like Snoop Dogg and all of that. I think yeah, your taste definitely evolves. Though I do think when you reach a certain age, 30, like myself, obviously, you'd kind of like gravitate back towards a genre that kind of defined a certain stage of your life. Like when I was growing up, I used to pick on my parents for leaning into songs from the 60s and early 70s. And I find myself leaning into the mid-90s to the early 2000s in particular. But yeah, I'll listen to anything. And if it's good, it's good.
All right. What do you think of the pop music that kids listen to today?
Something.
Yeah.
There's some okay ones. I think honestly, what the first thing that comes to my mind is like thinking about when music really started evolving, like all the different genres. Like, there's not going to be any new firsts. Like, there's not going to be any new genres really or anything like that. So I'm thinking like at this point, it's probably pretty difficult to come up with something original. So like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is like they're like half talking, half singing, kind of like the more like really pop ones. But like Billie Eilish is always really good and things like that. So, but it depends.
You kids and your music. No, I like some of it. Some of it I don't necessarily care for, like anything else. I do have to agree with Miss Plant too a little bit. I think it's interesting how things kind of cycle back through. Mm-hmm. There's like styles and riffs that have been used before. I thought it was really, really interesting that some people don't realize that the riff from Ice Ice Baby was actually from Queen. And, I think there's more, that happens more and more.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it's interesting when a kid's like, oh, this song slaps, or it's fire, or whatever it is you all say. And it's something that's a pretty strong play on something that's been done before.
I actually took a music class in college just because I had to. But they talked a lot about like the copyright and, a certain way that chords are played, like that has to be told by other people or like found that you have to like check in the database, just like you would like plagiarism in an essay. You have to check like those chords together in a database to figure out if that has already been in a song and if you're copywriting it. It was pretty interesting.
And how close you can come to it.
Yes, right.
Is there a certain era of music that you feel is better than the rest, and why?
Mine's probably 90s alternative, just because that's what I grew up with. I don't know if you're going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I would also say 90s alternative. Now, I kind of gone back to what we were saying before about how a lot of things are kind of recycling through or kind of like taking what's been done and playing with it a little bit. I do feel like probably the 90s and into the early 2000s was the last time that something truly new and different was done.
I totally agree.
I think since then you've had like different styles kind of peaking and belling, like I do think like the 90s era alternative punk rock's having a bit of a resurgence. It died off for a while and then starting to come back. And you do have modern artists who are doing their own twist on it, but I don't think there's been anything truly new since probably the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay. What was your first concert?
Mine was Lady Gaga in my senior year of high school.
Technically, mine was the Grand Ole Opry, but I'm too young to remember. So Vanilla Ice was my first concert.
Ooh.
Yes, Vanilla Ice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What would be your dream concert?
Mine would be Mac Miller because he's no longer with us, but he actually went to IUP like right before I got there, so I like just missed my window.
I think I've probably already had my dream concert. I saw Metallica and Guns N' Roses with Faith No More opening for them at Three Rivers Stadium back in the day. That's where the Steelers and the Pirates used to play.
My. Finally, if you're stranded on a desert island, name 3 albums on your playlist.
First one is Good AM by Mac Miller. The second one is Traveler by Chris Stapleton. And then The Mockingbird and the Crow by Hardy.
Okay, so.
I wrote mine down.
Yeah, good for you. I would probably have to go with a tried and true, cliched as it may be, the Black Album by Metallica. Favorite band, and that's probably their single most quintessential album. I would probably then go with Throwing Copper by Live and Simon & Garfunkel Live at Central Park.
Thank you, Ms. Plant and Mr. Swanson, for joining us today to get the Hawk's Eye view on music. Until next time, I'm Leia Schoen of AHS-TV. Keep on soaring.
Your future beckons, calling from a place where there's plenty of room to grow, where possibilities are abundant, where you'll be challenged every day to uncover the best version of you, where you can blossom. The place, IUP. Here, like the clusters of oaks in our renowned oak grove, we're united in helping you reach new heights. Ready to heed the call? Get in the grove at IUP.
Hello, welcome to today's AHS Spotlight. I'm here with
Mrs. Burkett.
Ms. Burkett. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So how long have you been a teacher at Armstrong?
I have been at Armstrong High School since it opened, so since the 2015-2016 school year.
And how long were you teaching before that?
I started my first job in the fall of 2004, so I have been teaching for a little over 20 years now.
Where'd you start out there?
I went to Maryland after I graduated from college, and I actually was hired to be a Spanish teacher at my first job. So I taught Spanish for the first 6 years of my career, just Spanish. And then when I moved back to Pennsylvania, I taught a combination of Spanish and English. And then ever since we came to Armstrong High School, I've been teaching just 9th grade English.
How does that, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I love 9th grade English. It is the sweet spot for me with English classes. I have taught 8th grade English before. I've taught a variety of public speaking classes, but in regard to English, I just really like 9th graders and I like the content for 9th grade English, so I'm very happy to be in that level for teaching English.
So did you ever have any experience teaching other levels? I know you had 8th grade, but did you ever teach higher level English? Or?
No, I've been in 8th grade in public speaking. I did a public speaking 1 and public speaking 2, and then when I got into 9th grade English, which my first year teaching 9th grade English was 2011, that is where I've stayed. Now I've taught all different levels in 9th grade English, so I've taught inclusion classes, I've taught CP, I've taught gifted honors, but 9th grade is where my sweet spot is.
What are specific parts of English that you enjoy teaching? Are there specific elements of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a language person overall, so I do really enjoy incorporating the grammatical rules and things into English. But when you get into 9th grade, it's kind of a new thing for students because in 7th and 8th grade, they've always had a separate English and reading class. So then in 9th grade, it's like we all that rolled into one. So the reading part is also something I'm quite passionate about. Anyone who has been in my room, I have quite an extensive classroom library. I'm very into trying to encourage students to read for pleasure. I call it choice reading, and that's a big part of my passion within the English class as well. So
I see. As an English teacher, what are some books that you feel students should read?
I mean, honestly, my biggest thing is I'm happy with people reading whatever they want. That's a big push for me because I think a lot of students have it in their mind they don't like reading, but I think that if they just had the opportunity to look and explore different things, they might find they actually, do enjoy reading. As far as what I think is really important in 9th grade English for students to read, Romeo and Juliet is the big Shakespearean piece, and that's important because, as you know, going through the different levels of English, Shakespeare is somebody that you continue to study every year, so I think it's good to have a foundation with that in 9th grade. I'm also really partial to the Odyssey, which I think is another great piece of literature that really influences a lot of other literature that students are going to study over the next course of their other years in English. So I think those are two really good core staple pieces in 9th grade.
After reading the Odyssey in there, I actually bought the graphic copy that we had because I wanted to have a copy of it.
Well, and I like that you brought that up because you were actually one of the first classes that I decided to like figure out what's the best way to have these kids read this ancient piece of literature that maybe seems very difficult to interpret or whatever. And that's graphic novels are a great way to kind of rope people in to feel a little bit more confident in reading and understanding things that are a little more difficult to, interpret and understand.
Yeah, because initially I bought a copy of the Iliad, and I didn't buy the graphic.
Yeah.
And I read the first page, and then I set it down and didn't pick it back up because I didn't understand what they were saying, and
it can be so confusing because the names are unfamiliar, the locations are oftentimes, but when you have that graphic novel, that reaches another level, especially because a lot of students are visual learners, and that's a way to help them interpret, something that is, like I said, I feel is like a staple piece of ninth grade literature, but something that can sometimes feel overwhelming, where, like you said, students start to read it, they're like, I don't want to keep picking up this. It's too hard to understand. So that's my biggest goal, I feel, as an English teacher, is to try to find ways to help students make a connection and not be able to understand what they're reading, because the bottom line is, if not, they're just not going to read. They're going to take the shortcuts and not actually read what they're supposed to,
Yeah. If it means anything to it, I've always felt that the graphic novel helped me really get into it and really enjoy the story.
I really appreciate you saying that.
Thank you. A big point of this interview today was to bring up Senora Barnhart is retiring this year.
Right.
And there's been a lot of talk of who is actually going to get the position. I've heard from many people they believe you would be the most qualified to take that position over.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I know that Senora Barnhart has been a big advocate for wanting me to, try and fulfill the role that she has had in our district for, I think she's been teaching here for like 35 years or something.
She's had a career.
What a gem she is. What an incredible Spanish teacher. I feel like she has made so many kids fall in love with the language and want to study it. So I do really appreciate how supportive she has been. She's known that I'm very interested in getting back into Spanish, and she's definitely advocating, I think, within her classes and telling students, I think there's a good chance Mrs. Burkett might want to apply for this spot when I leave, and absolutely I'm very interested when the job, if it gets posted.
What do you think the chances are that you end up getting the position?
I hope, fingers crossed, pretty well. Like I said, when I first moved back to Pennsylvania from Maryland, I actually was first hired to be in a split Spanish position at what was called Kittanning Junior High at the time and West Shamokin. So I split my day between those two places and taught like Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3. And then, I didn't teach Spanish again until I guess it would have been my 2013-2014 school year at Ford City. They went from just having me be full-time English to spilling me into teaching half-day English and half-day Spanish. So never had the chance to teach Spanish here just because we've had a full roster of teachers, but that's what I'm hopeful. If maybe nothing else, I can get a couple of classes to start getting back into it. And I'd be happy with any level or any type of Spanish class that they would be able to put into my schedule.
Yeah, I believe at most, at least go for the AP because that's the passionate ones. Those are the ones who really want.
When I was in high school, I was very passionate about Spanish and English were my two favorite classes in high school, and I was actually the only student who elected to take like the AP exam whenever I was a senior in high school. I just really loved it. I just have had a passion for it, and it was because I had an amazing teacher. He just really made me love the language, which is why I was so interested in that.
I believe that covers just about everything I wanted to talk about. Before we go, do you have any statements you'd like to say, or?
No, I'm just grateful that you wanted to bring me in and talk, and you made my day when you made your graphic novel comments. So talking about that, talking about my love of Spanish, this is a great interview.
Thank you. Thank you for watching today's AHS-TV Spotlight featuring Miss Burkett. Keep on soaring.